Hi, Chris McClure here with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment. Welcome to this episode of our podcast. It's going to be just me this time. Just going to talk about a weird couple of weeks we've had here in the fire service, as well as some new resources that you may not be aware of that Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment has been putting out there for you to help you navigate where we're at right now with the current apparatus purchasing environment. First, though, I wanted to talk about Idaho. I wanted to juxtapose what happened in Idaho with something that occurred during the rest of the week, during the remainder of that week. It was June 29th. In Idaho, we had the shooting. Firefighters were responding to a wildfire in Idaho, and 2 battalion chiefs were shot and killed. And you know, I've often talked about roadway accidents and roadway fatalities that we have in the fire service sometimes, and how, you know, we have to be forever vigilant. And even on the road, vigilance any amount of vigilance cannot overcome all of the unknowns that we have out there. But you know, I kind of fall back on the if it's predictable, it's preventable. It's preventable if it's predictable. And, then I go back to that. So like, to the extent that we can, you know, we do that as much as possible. But, you know, who's looking for a gunman when we get off the truck? I'm sure a lot more of us are now. But, you know, I mean, like it was bothering me because, you know, I mean, like, we're just here trying to do our jobs, you know. Many of us are doing this, you know, without any compensation at all. It's for the love of serving. It's for the service aspect of this. It's for saving our neighbors' lives and property from destruction by fire. That's what it's all about. You know, and it really, you know, I started to get a bit angry about it, thinking about, you know, like now we got to worry about being target practice, you know, when we get off the truck, and all we're trying to do is save lives and property. And, you know, it really started to bother me. And it's, you know, it bugs the living daylights out of me when we have injuries on a fire scene because a car runs into a rig. I mean, it makes me insane. Why are these things happening? But, you know, again, vigilance only goes, you know, so far. Later on in that week, it was July 3rd. We had a work night at the firehouse. We were all there to give the trucks one final wash and wax before the parades on July 4th. Weldon, the fire company I belong to, goes to 3 parades. One of them is a judging parade, so we always like to get the trucks ready for that and hopefully come home with some bragging rights. We did this year. We got Best Appearing Rescue and Best Appearing Antique for our American LaFrance. It's weird for me to think of that truck as an antique because it's the one that I came in on. But you know, we'll kind of let that go for now. But so July 3rd, it was supposed to be a night where we go down, we wash and wax the trucks, we have some burgers and maybe some dogs after, you know, in preparation for the next day. It is a long day on July 4th for the fire company. We get up early. We put up flags along the main drag there. We go to the parades. We come back. After the last parade, we come back. We take the flags down. As soon as the parade, you know, gets past the firehouse, we start taking them down. And, you know, so it is a long day. So it's nice to have that last push, wash and wax, and then kind of relax for a little while. But it was a little different this year. About just over 2 years ago, we had a member. He got a cancer diagnosis, and man, he went into it full throttle, learned everything that he could. His outlook was perfect. He was never letting it get him down. Everything that came along, he dealt with it. He worked for most of the time. He was coming down to the firehouse. So if he couldn't be part of the firefight, he was doing stuff behind the scenes. I mean, just a tremendous approach to a diagnosis like that. But sadly, the cancer did spread, and it led to a rather quick decline. And so July 3rd, after we washed and waxed the trucks, we actually got a police escort up to this firefighter's house, and we brought the trucks down the street. We staged them. He came out onto the porch, and we all had a chance to say, what was on our minds to him. Now, this is a guy who was omnipresent. He was basically our senior man. We're now looking to see who is going to be that next senior man, who's going to be that next guy that assumes a leadership role that isn't necessarily an appointed one. It's one certainly that you assume through many years. But here's a guy who, when I joined the fire company, he joined a year before I did. He joined 1992. I joined 1993. And there's a little bit of a gap in age between us. He was probably in his mid to late 20s. I was 19 when I joined, and but he's always been there, always been a presence, always been there. Certainly took me under his wing whenever he could when I joined. But here's a guy who, by that point, he was very open about the fact that he did drink at one time, but he gave up drinking entirely. Did something to improve his life. When I joined the fire company, he was a smoker. He at this stage he had quit smoking for many years prior to that, and had really started a pretty significant fitness regimen. I can remember seeing him running by. I know that he did a lot of other type of exercises too. Beyond that, to keep himself built up, to keep himself in shape. Gave up smoking, really became physically fit, had already given up drinking. All these things to do to improve himself, to improve his life, possibly live a bit longer. Now, we lost him. He was only 60. He did pass away a few days later after we all got a chance to say a few words to him. And but so you have that. And whenever cancer gets somebody, it's hard, because you can do so much. One thing somebody told me a long time ago is it's a disease that is not consistent. Everybody who has it has a different experience with it. But when it gets you, man, and we lost him too soon, but he packed so much into those 60 years. But again, he did so much to try to improve things. Cancer got him. These guys in Idaho, battalion chiefs, did everything right, moved up the ladder in the fire department, and suddenly, So what I'm getting at is vigilance, whether it's vigilance to take care of ourselves and, to hopefully live longer and all that, and do all the right things. You can do all the right things, and yet something gets you. You can do all the right things. You can make all the right decisions. You can command fire after fire after fire, and then suddenly, unbeknownst to you, no matter what kind of vigilance you've put out there, no matter how vigilant you've been, something goes tragically wrong, and we lose 2 firefighters to a nut with a gun. Those are just things that we can't do, and it's just so easy to become disheartened. Like, why am I doing this? If some kook is going to all of a sudden decide to open fire on me when all I'm trying to do is go save Mrs. Jones's house, or put out a brush fire before it becomes a threat to homes and things like that. You get upset and you get mad about that. And then you see a guy who did all the right things, made all the right moves, and yet we lose him. And it's so easy to become disheartened that we can't do that, because I can't tell you how many times the whistle is blown, since he passed away. Probably, out in Idaho, how many times is their bell rung or their whistle blown, since we lost those 2 battalion chiefs. We have to keep moving. Now, that's not to say we keep moving and we ignore the impacts that these things are having on us. If we need help, we need to get help, and there are myriad ways to get help. It's become so much more normal now to seek help. So don't be afraid to do it if you're having any kind of issues with anything. Could be about these things. Could be about anything. So don't be afraid to get the help there. But please don't become so disheartened that you give up the job. It's not something where like I said, things are gonna slow down. We have to keep going. We have to keep up that level of service to our communities and to the people we have sworn ourselves to serve. Now, I haven't taken an oath, when I joined the fire company, but certainly I've sworn, to protect these people, as we go through. And it's just again, it's just so easy to become disheartened with all these kinds of things. And it was a really weird week. We had the tragedy in Idaho, and then we went through this at a local level with my fire company. And, you just even as I sit here, I think about about our firefighter, so full of energy. I was talking to my wife about it the other day, and she just was reminiscing about how much energy he brought to our banquets, out on the floor, dancing up a storm. That was just him. He was just loving every minute of life, no matter what it brought him. And even through his diagnosis and his treatments and everything, you never saw it back up on him. And it was great to see. Sadly, but although sadly we did lose him, but again, don't become so disheartened that you give up the job. We're here for a reason. We're here to help others, and those emergencies don't stop. We have to get out there to help people. Speaking of whistles not stopping and having to keep going. A lot of over the past couple of years, as we've talked about the current apparatus purchasing environment, lead times have increased, costs have increased. However, there has been a mindset that the rigs still have to be replaced. And I just wanted to quickly go through some things that we're doing here to help you with that. We have a columnist. His name is Joe Murray, Chief Joe Murray. He's a chief in Dearborn, and over the past year, he's written a number of articles that I just wanted to call out. You can find all these articles in the archive at fireapparatus.com/issues. You'll need to click on the issues, and or you can search for him in our authors section at /authors. But we have making the case for the apparatus purchase, a strategic planning for the fleet division that includes everything across the board: maintenance, replacement, alternative funding, foundations, a way of looking for funding to help you make these purchases, equipment purchase proposals. Everybody has to get this approved somewhere. So writing that equipment purchase proposal that explains everything and why you need to make the purchase. Grant writing best practices, tons of grants out there. And also cooperative procurement. He gave a brief outline on that. So all these different things that are out there, just wanted to call attention to it because it is, we've talked about different types of rigs to buy. We've talked about why we're here. We've talked about how we see things coming out. But we haven't talked a lot about, well, how do I buy now? Because, the lead times are one thing, the costs are another. So there's a number of those things. So again, Chief Joe Murray, Dearborn, Michigan, Fire Chief Considerations is the column that he writes. But we have also started to include some articles from an industry perspective, and they're coming from the Fire Apparatus Manufacturers Association. We've already posted one on apparatus purchasing in 2025. It's sort of a how do we get here kind of thing. And the most recent one that we posted just the other day is on lead times. It's understanding the lead times, understanding why the lead times are the way they are. We cannot point at one thing that has created the environment that has led to these longer lead times. So a couple of things there. We're going to put another one out in a few weeks. It's going to be on costs. That's the tough nut to crack, isn't it? We can talk about waiting, but there's also a number of different aspects of the costing. First of all, the cost today might not be the cost tomorrow, and the cost today is already higher than it's ever been. So, so we're gonna talk a bit about that. So I just wanted to touch on those things real quick, just to let you know there are some resources out there at fireapparatus.com to help you navigate this environment. It has not been easy, but the good news is it does seem like via a number of different not procedures, but a number of different approaches, those lead times are coming back down. So really that's all I had for you this month. Hopefully you got something out of this one. We're working on a couple more for this month. We're going to have another PHMSA one. It's going to talk about technology, and we're going to, of course, have an apparatus workshop. So again, this has been Chris McClune with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment. Have a good one and stay safe.